Teachers, who was the most memorable student you ever had? His name was Virgin. Yes, Virgin. No, I do not know why his mother named him that name, and it was very strange at first to say Virgin every time I addressed him, but he was my most memorable student. Gosh, I loved that kid. He began my class in the 2nd grade. He was one of those kids that never spoke and was very serious. So I decided to pull the old show and tell to get him, along with some of the other children, more comfortable with learning about each other. I also told them that on the upcoming Friday, they could bring their favorite toy for show and tell if their parents agreed, and then in the last hour of the day they could play with their toys as a reward for a week of hard work. We were all excited. Everyone got up and showed their favorite toy and talked all about it, and it was so fun. Then it was Virgin's turn. He came up to the front of the room. He guided 5 children to sit at a large table and then seated himself at the head of it. Out of his sack, he pulled out a deck of cards, a short-brimmed fedora hat, and poker chips, and began passing out cards and reciting poker terms for the game he was dealing. I'd never heard him talk so much as he did then. He became a completely different person. He acted like he'd been doing it for years and he was only 8 years old. I was practically waiting for him to put a cigar in his mouth, it was that authentic. I was so delighted I could not stop smiling. I have a few famous poker players in my family, so I knew that he knew what he was doing. It was adorable, hilarious, yet respectful of the game all at the same time. Once his show and tell was over, he had children surrounding him as he explained what each card meant and how much each was worth. He was now a part of the pack. Because of him, we played many math games using playing cards to teach addition and subtraction. Instead of blackjack, we'd see which cards and card combinations it took to make certain sums or differences. I grew crazier and crazier about that child throughout the next 3 years. After reading much research, I decided we were going to listen to classical music while they worked independently after our lessons. This is such a great idea, I said to myself. Everything seemed to be going so well as classical music echoed throughout our room. But a few weeks later, Virgin had had enough. Suddenly he got up, shaking his head back and forth as he worked his way towards the DVD player on my desk, and turned off the music. He kept mumbling, "I can't take this anymore, I can't take this anymore." I started laughing because honestly, I was sick of it too. I said, "You got anything better?" He went to his locker and got a disc of Old School Temptations. Have I ever told you I love that group? We put that CD in and got a whole lot more work done and had a spring in our hearts as we listened. Soon I started dancing all around the class and it made the kids laugh so much. I was rather impressed that he got up on his own accord and took action while still being very respectful as he took a stand. I began to include him in more classroom ideas and he was always ready with some good ones. The next year I had a baby, my last one, a little girl. But because of the economy, I did not get to take much of a leave. A few months later I had to return to work. The problem was, I was still breastfeeding and my daughter refused to drink out of a bottle. She would wait until I got home and then would feed me every few hours until I left for work the next day. So I needed to pump the milk out every 3 hours at work to keep my milk production up, but I had no place to do it at school. I couldn't leave the classroom and go to my car. I could not use the ladies' bathroom. What should I do? I remembered I had a storage closet in my classroom with a door that locked, so I decided to go in there. I would tell the kids I had work to do and I'd be back out soon, but I could still hear them, so they needed to be quiet. This went on for about 4 months. I know they had to think it was weird that I kept going in the closet every 3 hours for 15 minutes because I had never done that before the baby. Then one day a few of the students started fussing at each other, for whatever reason. They were just grouchy, I guess. I was so tired from working all day and feeding my daughter all night that I just laid my head on my desk just as the kids started arguing over something silly. Suddenly Virgin stood up and yelled, "Stop fussing at each other. Don't you know every time we do something bad she goes and hides in the closet to calm down?" I never thought they were paying that much attention to me going in that closet, but that's what he eventually deduced as to why I kept going in there when he decided to defend me in front of the class. I don't know why he thought that because these were the best kids I had ever had, quiet as little mice, but I guess it was the only reason he could come up with. Good old Virgin. Don't worry, little guy. Your teacher is just in the closet frantically pumping her breasts and filling up containers with milk before it starts leaking all over her clothes. School got out that May and over the summer my daughter began to wean herself, so I did not have to pump during the day when school started back up, but I will never forget the poker playing fedora wearing classical music hating defender of his teacher.